Today we have 6 most disturbing moments caught on live TV footage. I'm gonna be so real. Make sure you guys get some snacks. Let's sit back and enjoy.
On the 30th of June 2025, a reporter named Linildo Frazão went live from the Miriam River in Brazil to cover a tragic incident that happened there just a...
Alright, I gotta stop immediately. You wouldn't catch me 20, not even 2 steps away from this. You wouldn't even be able to see in front of you within water like this. Imagine the parasites. Imagine the Negroes like just swimming in there, like the little things in there.
day earlier. In the early hours of June 29, a group of teenagers had decided to go for a swim in the river. Unfortunately, they underestimated its depth, resulting in the disappearance of 13-year-old Raissa Fernandes. Seconds after entering the water, her friends watched her dip beneath the surface, and that was the last time anyone saw her alive. Divers looked for her underwater, while rescuers scoured the riverbank, hoping she might have washed ashore somewhere. But even after hours of searching, Raissa was nowhere to be found.
You see what I mean? That's exactly what I mean. That type of water you can't see even in front of you. You see he had scuba gear on. He couldn't even process or see anything in front of him.
You intended to use this broadcast as an opportunity to educate viewers on the dangers of river currents and general river safety, not knowing that he was about to solve the mystery of Raissa's disappearance on live TV. He took off his shoes and started slowly walking into the river while talking about the sudden increase in depth and how dangerous it can be for inexperienced swimmers.
Quanto mais você desce, mais fundo fica. Ó, aqui, ó.
Deeper it gets. Look,
Até que aqui é de
look
boa,
right
mas só
here.
que
It's actually pretty
uma
manageable
descida.
right here.
Aqui onde ela
But
se
it is
afogou
though.
hoje,
This spot is where she
é uma
drowned, guys.
descida. Pra você
It's a
ver
steep
aqui,
drop
ó, onde
off.
o tanto que eu passei aqui, daqui dá mais ou menos uns 2,5 metros.
2.5
Ó,
meters
e
deep.
quanto mais você anda, ó a diferença aqui já onde eu estou agora, ó. Então,
Just look,
pessoal,
I'm
e
already
ainda tem a
just look, one
correnteza.
tiny
Já,
step
aqui já,
forward.
olha,
Is he about
ó,
to drown?
passinho pra frente, a água já tá praticamente me cobrindo. Então, o risco aqui...
Okay, this is kind of dangerous because if you knew a person drowned, why are you going in here to show a demonstration of that? But I do understand he's trying to show how dangerous the water is, but why are you giving yourself up as the example?
É muito grande, é muito grande.
However, nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to encounter just seconds later.
Oh no.
Ó a fundura aqui, ó. Ui.
He just got a whole thing of water in his... What happened? What happened?
Eu acho que tinha negócio
I
aqui
think
no
there was
fundo da
something
água.
down there at the bottom of the water. Don't tell me he stepped on her. Oh my god, no.
Não, era mole.
It was soft. No.
Será que não é ela, não?
Could it be her? No.
While trying to demonstrate the river's
No, do not tell me the girl drowned there. He stepped on her. Oh my god, no. All right, this is gonna be a sad video. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even know what to do in that moment. I'm so serious. Like I don't think anybody even watching would know what to do in a predicament like that, bro. And he got a whole mouth full of the water. Oh, rest in peace to the girl.
deceptive drop-off, Linildo accidentally stepped on something lying on the riverbed. It was too soft and organic feeling to be a rock or a submerged log, which caught him off guard. The murky water made it impossible to see beneath the surface. But Linildo was starting to realize what it could be, leaving him too disturbed to go back and investigate further. He got out of the water and contacted authorities immediately. And it wasn't long before divers recovered the remains of Raissa from that exact spot.
Oh my
Later
god.
autopsy report confirmed that there was no foul play involved.
So she
what happened to
drowned.
her was nothing more than a tragic accident.
That is absolutely, yo guys, be completely really be really cautious around water. No matter what body of water it is, try to be careful. Especially when hanging out with friends. Don't do things to impress people, you know what I mean? Just try to be safe, especially out there in murky water, deep water, you know what I mean? Yo, rest in peace to the girl, man. That is so sad.
On September 25, 2025, the CBS 6 station in Albany, New York received a strange email with a 2-page document. It contained a nearly incomprehensible rant featuring Arnold Schwarzenegger, archaic centuries-old laws, and a proposal to create a board of trustees with prosecutorial immunity. However, the most important aspect of this document wasn't its content. Instead, the reason it stood out among the hundreds of emails the channel received every day was its author, 53-year-old Lawrence Krauss, who also included a selfie alongside the document.
Okay.
You see, Lawrence was currently under investigation for ending the lives of his own parents and getting away with it for over 8 years.
Oh my god, wait. I just reacted to a case from Ray William Johnson. Why is it so common that there's so many people that are hurting their parents? Like, I don't understand that. He looked older, so like that had to be something. Was it money related?
It happened in August 2017. His
Okay.
86-year-old father and 83-year-old mother were living out their retirement in their home in Crestwood Court in Albany, New York.
Okay.
And suddenly, they were gone without a trace. None of the neighbors saw them leaving or heard anything about where they were going. Their house was also left abandoned, with Lawrence only visiting it occasionally to collect mail, mow the lawn, and clear the snow. When asked about his parents, he claimed that they had moved back to Germany and won't be coming back. The neighbors had no reason
Moved
to
to
distrust
Germany?
Lawrence, so no one questioned their absence, and life went on as usual. A distant relative even requested a welfare check in 2020.
They could do
But
it?
the neighbors repeated the same explanation Lawrence had given, ending the officer's questioning without any further suspicion.
All right, bro. This is where things need to be taken in the hands of the people with the ability to do something. Do you not see how weird that sounds? Oh yeah, my parents, they went to Germany. Oh yeah, they went to Germany. I'm never gonna hear from them again. You won't hear from them again. They just wanted to go live out their lives and die in Germany. Come on, man. No, nobody's just getting up and leaving without a trace. Especially if they were living out their final years and together with you at their home. They didn't even sell the home. Like, why are y'all not doing a welfare check? Is this AI? Is this am I crazy?
It wasn't until mid-2025 that the Albany police became aware of something shady going on with the Krause family. Someone had been collecting Lawrence's parents' social security payments, even though the two hadn't been seen in years. This resulted in the police launching a formal investigation, and after months, finally executing a search warrant at the Krause home on September 23rd.
Finally.
Over the next 48 hours, detectives collected thousands of financial documents and other evidence. More importantly, they discovered the remains of Lawrence's parents buried in the backyard. Lawrence likely knew that he was the prime suspect in this case, but instead of turning himself in or trying to run away, he made the unusual decision of sending this document to the local news network alongside his contact information.
Oh, that's a lot of like just racist stuff in there and things about Trump and stuff. This is crazy.
One of the directors at CBS 6 was familiar with the Krause case and immediately jumped at the opportunity to interview Lawrence. After giving him a call, Lawrence claimed that he was willing to do a live interview with the channel only if they published his document on the internet for everyone to see. The network agreed, and less than an hour later, Lawrence was sitting with a CBS 6 reporter for a live interview. Lawrence was a bit hesitant at first, but after some pressure, he cracked and confessed to everything.
I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What did you do to your parents?
I buried them in their property.
You buried them in the
Oh
backyard.
yeah, just one look at this Negro. Just take a look at his feet down there. That Negro is wearing what is those? I don't even know those Asics or whatever he wearing, bro. With no socks on them Jones. Never trust a brother that's wearing shoes with no socks on my soul. And that Negro's cut. He got the old timey like Einstein John, like that, like a scientist, old crazy scientist cut. Don't trust a man like that. And he's wearing a 2K generic shirt with low rider shorts. Don't trust a brother like that.
Of that house in Albany.
Right.
When it actually happened, when your parents died, did they know it was happening to them?
Oh, yeah.
And they knew it was at your hand?
Well, yes, no one else's.
Right. So they
No remorse.
They
Just
realized
that's-
what you were doing to them as it happened.
Yes.
They knew that this was it for them, that they were perishing at your hand.
Yes. And it was so quick.
How did you do it?
Yeah, I can't talk about that.
Well, you've just told us that
Right.
it was at your hand.
Yeah, what else is there to
Were
hide?
drugs
No,
involved?
No,
Was
no.
there a suffocation? You suffocated them? You suffocated your parents?
Yeah.
What made this confession so disturbing, however, was the way Lorenz tried to portray it as something righteous. His argument essentially boiled down to, my parents were suffering from old age, so I did them a favor. Even though the neighbors described the couple as elderly, they were by no means sick or bedridden. They had normal
So he took it
routines where they
upon
tended
himself. I'm not even gonna he's using that as an excuse in his head that he did something right. Fact of the matter is, Brody's weird, crazy. I told you, never trust a Negro with low rider socks. But in all seriousness, the dude is just crazy. You saw what he had in that manifesto. He was just planning to do crazy stuff, and he wanted to get his name out there so he can post his agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people like this, he needs to be locked away for life. Just I keep saying, like, just take these brothers' balls and send them to the moon. People like this don't deserve to be breathing the same air. It's just, like, so serious. I'm so
to their
serious.
garden, shared mint leaves with neighbors' kids, and listened to Polish music every day. Their lives weren't nearly as miserable as Lorenz tried to portray during this interview. Now, it's unclear if he's severely mentally ill and genuinely believed everything he was saying, or if this interview was his way of trying to paint himself as the concerned son to earn the public's favor before his inevitable arrest.
Did you just say we don't know if that Negro's mentally ill? Are we in the Twilight Zone? Are we watching the same Negro talk? Do you see what this man got? Do you see him? Have you heard it? I gotta be twigging.
In either case, he had no way of escaping the consequences of his heartless actions. He was arrested immediately after walking out of the network's building and is currently awaiting trial for the death of his parents.
Yo, justice for them, man. W getting them arrested. Get him out of here. Justice for the parents.
On the night of October 28, 2023, the Utilita Arena in Sheffield, England was packed with over 8,000 spectators. They were there to watch the ice hockey match between the Nottingham Panthers and the Sheffield Steelers. The whole thing was also being broadcast live on TV for fans across the world, and the match started off completely normal. The first period ended without either team scoring a point. About 35 minutes later, the score was 4-2 in favor of the Sheffield Steelers. The Panthers needed to score soon
so these
if
aren't
they wanted to
American
make a
teams
comeback.
that I'm used
So
to.
one of their more renowned players, Adam Johnson, got a hold of the puck and started pushing into the Steelers' defensive zone. But before he could reach the goal, the match got interrupted by one of the most tragic incidents in ice hockey history.
Oh no.
As Adam was making his way to the goal, a different player of
one's
his
Adam?
team bumped into Matt Petgrave of the Steelers. This resulted in Matt getting launched in the air and slicing Adam's neck with one of his skates.
Oh my God! No! Wait, did he say he got sliced
This
with the
resulted in
skate?
Matt getting launched in the air and slicing Adam's neck with one of his skates.
Oh my God! No, dude, that is the scariest thing ever. Getting sliced with a freaking ice skate while just trying to play the game that you love. Oh my God! Oh my God! Where was I at? Did I hear about this? Now that I'm thinking about it, this sounds a bit familiar. I don't know if I was too in tune with what happened, but this sounds a bit familiar. Oh my God, did he live? That is the best. That is the thing that I'm hoping.
For those who don't know, professional hockey skates are sharpened to a razor's edge. So it took very little force to leave a deep laceration across Adam's neck, causing him to bleed profusely in front of both the live crowd and the TV audience. Medics at the arena tried to stop the bleeding, but the cut was too deep. He had already lost a lot of blood on the ice. Adam was then rushed to a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, despite going into surgery as quickly as possible, Adam couldn't survive the injury and passed away just hours later. Matt was arrested shortly after on suspicion that he had cut Adam on purpose. However, investigators found no foul play in Adam's death and ultimately ruled it a tragic accident. The only silver lining in this entire case is that it resulted in the English Ice Hockey Association making neck guards mandatory for all players, something that would have likely prevented this from happening altogether. But at the time, wearing this protective gear was only a suggestion.
Yo, rest in peace to him. That has to be the scariest thing ever. Especially, you're just trying to play the game that he's definitely been playing this his entire life. Like, the thing that you just love to do. Like, imagine you're into football, basketball, and, like, something tragic like this just happens to you. It's the scariest thing. And that is so sad for all parties involved. Prayers for his prayers to his family, and prayers to him, man. It's terrible.
On the evening of September 2, 2011, TVN, one of the biggest networks in Chile, was airing the latest episode of a show called Calle 7. It was a live game show where teams competed in various challenges to make their way to the top, and this weekend's episode was supposed to be no different. But things took a disturbing turn about halfway through the episode when the show's host interrupted the competitors seemingly out of nowhere and told them to stop.
Please stop the competition. We need to stop the competition, please. We just received some information that's very difficult to share. But we didn't want to say anything before thoroughly checking what was happening. Because it involves people from the channel. The team from the channel, including Felipe
Camiroaga y Bruce, Roberto Bruce, que también estaba en aquel vuelo a la isla de Juan Fernández, según tengo entendido. Es información que nos está llegando en este momento. El Ministerio de Defensa informó esta tarde al presidente de la República que un equipo de TVN iba al borde de una nave de la Fuerza Aérea de Chile que capotó en el archipiélago de Juan Fernández.
However, the reason for this interruption had nothing to do with the show itself. The host was talking about the C-212 Chilean Air Force plane that departed from the Arturo Merino Benitez International Airport earlier that day at around 2 p.m. It was headed for the Robinson Crusoe Airport, located hundreds of miles off the coast of Chile. Aboard was a full TV crew from the network, including the two renowned presenters, Felipe Camiroaga and Roberto Bruce. They were visiting Robinson Crusoe Island to report on the reconstruction after the 2010 earthquake. The flight started without a hitch. Unfortunately, as they were approaching the runway, the wind became extremely strong, making it impossible to land. The pilot tried to land a couple of times, circling in the air after each attempt. However, on the third attempt, witnesses saw the plane lose altitude much faster than expected and crash into the ocean just a mile from the island. By the time rescuers reached the crash site, it was already too late.
Oh my
All
gosh.
21 people aboard the C-212 plane had passed away. But while investigators initially believed that all of those deaths were due to the impact of the crash, the reality turned out to be far darker. As they were searching the wreckage, they found footage that one of the cameramen took of the interior shortly before the crash. The footage showed the passengers strapped into their seats, completely unaware of their fate. But the more haunting discovery happened when investigators found an SD card inside an empty water bottle floating near the crash site.
Oh, no.
This card contained hundreds of images. However, analysis of these images showed that 2 of them were taken after the crash, including one of the plane's windows covered in water. These images put the crash into a whole new perspective. They showed that several passengers, including the cameraman who took these photos and preserved the SD card in the bottle.
Oh, they lived through it? Is that what happened? That is... Oh my God. Wait, so is that normal for aircraft? So say you're trying to make a landing. Is that normal for the wind and things like that to interrupt landings? That's scary for all aircrafts taking off. Like, imagine being on a plane and not being able to land on the runway that was open. That's just... And they were just going in a report.
That several passengers, including the cameraman who took these photos and preserved the SD card in the bottle, likely survived the initial crash. Sadly, they were trapped inside a rapidly sinking plane with no way out, forced to watch their aircraft fill up with water until there was no air left to breathe.
Jeez.
Niagara Falls is widely regarded as one of the world's most breathtaking natural wonders. However, while the surface is undeniably beautiful, the depths beneath the falls hide the disturbing history of many who lost their lives to the currents. One such incident was captured live on TV on May 30, 1985, when reporter Phil Kavitz was hosting a section about real estate in front of the falls. Suddenly, in the background, the camera captured a man caught in the current behind Phil.
Did he jump in? Wait, hold on. Let me make sure. Did he fall or did he jump? Hold on.
1985, when reporter Phil Kavitz was hosting a section about real estate in front of the falls. Suddenly, in the background...
That Negro jumped in! What are we doing? Do you understand how strong of a...
Camera captured a man caught in the current behind Phil.
He wasn't caught, he jumped in.
Him to the edge of the falls before throwing him over the 170-foot drop.
Was he looking or did he jump?
Few have survived the fall from the Niagara Falls. He wasn't one of them.
Oh my God.
The treacherous terrain under the falls also made it difficult to retrieve his remains. Once recovered, investigators identified the man as 56-year-old Robert Arens and concluded that the act was deliberate. However, Robert was only one of the 5,000 bodies that have been recovered from the foot of the falls in the last 175 years. Many of these 5,000 deaths were intentional, but there were a lot that weren't. And
what do you mean intentional? That is scary. That's a scary way to go. I wonder what just runs through those that are trying to take, like, you know, end their lives. Please, if you feel any type of way about, like, you know, if you're feeling mentally just exhausted and you want to take your life, please don't. Please seek help. Talk to somebody that you're close to. Please don't do something like this, man. That is so sad.
Unfortunately, surviving a fall from Niagara Falls is near impossible. Once you fall in, the cold water makes it extremely difficult to breathe, making it even more challenging to swim to the surface. The water near the edge can also move at over 60 miles per hour, adding another layer of difficulty to an already impossible challenge. But the jagged rocks at the base of the falls is what marks the end for most people. On the 23rd of August 2010 at around 10 a.m., 21 tourists from Hong Kong returned to their tour bus after visiting the historic Fort Santiago in Manila, Philippines. They were also accompanied by 3 Filipino tour guides, and the trip had been going fantastic so far. But just as they were about to set out to the next location, they got interrupted by a middle-aged man in a police uniform. He was openly carrying multiple firearms, and his demeanor made it clear he wasn't afraid to use them either, something that became even more apparent as time went on. For now, things
That's
started
nice.
off fairly calm, with him asking the driver for a ride to the next station. The bus driver tried to reject the request respectfully, explaining that he couldn't let him on because it was a private vehicle, not a public bus. However, the man wasn't having any of it. As soon as the bus driver rejected his request, he equipped one of his firearms and claimed that he was taking the bus hostage. This was 55-year-old Rolando Mendoza,
Is he a police officer? He is.
with nearly 30 years of service.
30
He'd recently
years?
been fired over drug charges that Rolando claimed were untrue. Getting fired left him with no pension after 3 decades of hard work.
Oh, wow.
And while he tried to fight for his job through official means, his superiors wouldn't listen. In an act of desperation and defiance, Rolando took this bus full of tourists hostage and presented a single demand. He wanted his job back. The situation so far looked fairly manageable, with 2 of his former colleagues establishing communications without any pushback. They were even able to convince him to release a few of the hostages. Granting his relatively simple demand would have been easy, but what followed was one of the biggest...
I'm thinking, like, the people in the car, why didn't they just go and jump him? Am I crazy for thinking like that? Like, what would y'all do in a situation with being, like, in a truck with a guy with a knife? I feel like if you beat him up, like, if y'all all jumped him, maybe y'all can all escape, or, like, somebody put him in a yoke and choked him out or something. I don't know. Am I thinking like Superman or something? I don't know.
Hostage disasters in the country's history, all because those in charge couldn't agree on the next move. Things started going downhill when Rolando's brother tried to approach the bus and was immediately detained by the officers. This made the already furious Rolando even angrier and more unstable. The situation only got worse once the media got involved. Nearly every news channel in the country started broadcasting the situation live. They talked about everything, including the plans officials were making outside. What they didn't know, however, was that the bus had a working TV, and Rolando was watching and listening in on everything. This could have helped him formulate a plan and get what he wanted without hurting anyone. Unfortunately, the lackluster response from the officials made a peaceful resolution near impossible. His anger reached a boiling point when he saw how his brother was being treated by the police on live TV. This resulted in Rolando getting blinded by rage and opening fire on the hostages. Around the same time, the bus driver managed to free himself from the handcuffs Rolando put him in and escape through the driver's side door. Unfortunately, while he was able to remain unharmed, other hostages weren't as lucky, since, according to the bus driver, they were all dead, leaving Rolando alone in the bus.
Oh my God, wait, don't tell me he killed every single person within that bus. Has this dude ever came out and talked about his experiences within that? Oh my goodness, that's had to be traumatizing. This world is crazy. Like, bro, the more and more that we learn about stories like this, where was this on the news? Here. Was I live?
This revelation gave authorities the go-ahead to surround the bus and try to break in without any more casualties. But Rolando wasn't willing to go down without a fight. As soon as they tried to enter through the emergency exit, Rolando opened fire, hitting one officer on his bulletproof helmet and barely missing the others. So the officers thought of a different strategy. They flooded the back of the bus with tear gas, forcing him to the front, right into the crosshairs of a sniper, finally ending the hostage crisis. It wasn't until after his death that police realized the bus driver had misunderstood the situation and that 9 of the hostages were still alive. The massive loss of innocent lives broadcast live for the world to see, coupled with officials making wrong decisions at every turn, drew intense global scrutiny, marking this as one of the worst and most tragic incidents in Filipino history.
Dude, that has to be the craziest, one of the craziest videos I've ever watched. That right there just puts into perspective. This world is crazy.
Bitch, I'm not gon' feel like I walk a walk. I'm telling your bitch that he like I'm a toilet. Walk with the Glock, I don't fuck her about. Boy, out with his every